Welcome to the shop. Today what we're going to do is we're going to review how to start up the CNC, turn on the shop power, and put on a vise and indicate a vise. When you put on a vise, whether it's a CNC machine or milling machine, it's exactly the same. So basically the principles are the same. It's just one you have to crank the handle and the other one you can automate it a bit. So here we go. We'll go turn on the power in the shop, walk over to the panel, insert the key, turn it on. Light comes on above, that's how you know, and you can hear a click. When you come into the shop, if you look at the lights over top of the hood of the plasma cutter, you can see that they're on, that's how you know power's on. When you walk up to the CNC, you'll want to turn the switch on the side of the machine. And then let the machine boot up. Then what you want to do is close the doors. There's a safety circuit on the door. That tells the machine that your hands are out of the way, and push the green button. You can see the red light, the machine, that means the power's on in the machine. Then what you want to do is you come over here and we look at the screen. When it boots up, it likes to go to Google, which is great. We have a number of different Google Drives that we use periodically. And we should store stuff up there for our programs, that sort of stuff. We do not want to make programs that are in somebody's Gmail. We want to use a common Gmail account so that in the event that you're not here, we can still access the files and get the job done. So for today's demonstration, I'll just minimize that. So when you come in, you want to send the machine home. It goes back to its reference point so it knows where its zeros are. To get it to move, we got to go reset, clear. Notice there's nothing here in the area, blinking or red or anything like that. So now we can go up and we say reference all. The machine will power up and send all its axes to the home position, which is the end of their travel. Okay, once that's completed, the machine knows where it is. So what we want to do is prep the table for cleaning. So what we want to do is we want to use a lubricant. In this case it's Jigalube. And we just want to spray over top of it. And any penetrating oil would be good. And then sometimes if the material is like really hard to get off, you could use an abrasive like a steel wool. I have used historically emery cloth or sandpaper, but you want to try to minimize that because that causes excess wear on the table. Basically, you wouldn't want to grind your table on a regular basis, so we don't want to sand it either. The vise stored at all times, never sitting on the floor, never on anything dirty. You want to actually clean the bottom of this. If it's a little bit rusty, you'd want to use Jigalube as well, but the idea is to use your hand to wipe down the bottom. And then what you want to do is you put it on like this, slight angle, drop it in straight, and then push it this way. If there was any chips in the bottom, they would be rolled off here if they were on this part. If they were on the table, they get pushed into the slots. And then you move it around trying to feel whether it is rocking or something underneath it. So if you just try to feel it, as long as it's laying flat, that's important. So now what we want to do is we got the vise on. We need to clamp it on the table. It's kind of helpful when you're trying to machine something that the vise doesn't move. So what we want to do is we want to use these T-nuts, put them into the slot that's in the actual table, and then using two 1/2-inch diameter washers, in this case, because the thread is the bolt's almost a little too long. So care must be taken when doing this, that you don't leave the vise loose yet tighten the bolt onto the thread. So once you're done, you'll want to tighten one up by eye, try to get it close. And that looks close. And then I'm going to tighten one side. The reason for this is some people like to just tighten just leave it loose and knock it around. But what I find is when you move it or tap it around, it tends to move both sides. If you anchor this side down, you'll find that the vise will pivot like this on that tightened spot. It makes our next operation a lot easier. So now we're ready to indicate the vise. When you indicate the vise, you're trying to make this edge parallel with the travel of the machine. That way, when you put a piece of material in there and you end face it, you're guaranteed to make it square. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this indicator and in a drill chuck in the actual machine. The indicator is kept in the toolbox in the top drawer. When you take it out, double check it by moving it slightly to see if it's been damaged or not before you take it over to the machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to change this. In order to change it, there's a lever on the side that locks this door. We'll open that. And then there's going to be a lock here that comes down. Notice the flats on the spindle. When that comes down, as you rotate, it automatically puts on the brake for you. This is a bar that goes through the actual spindle of the machine. And what it does is it draws a collet up which tightens around this particular part of the tool and holds it. So what we want to do is we want to take our wrench. It's not always good to use adjustable wrenches, but sometimes they're the only ones. Notice that this thing is lifting up and you can see the gap that's created in there. So it's coming out of the drawbar or out of the collet. Drawbar is coming out of the collet. And what you want to do is just give it a little tap and it's going to drop down and loosen this. So there's your cutter out. We want to put this drill chuck in. Then we want to tighten it up and reverse the process. And put it on top. Don't over tighten. These things are very powerful. You have a mechanical advantage because it draws it in on a taper. And you want to just tighten it up, okay? Now, notice this thing down. There's a safety device here that says, oh, you can't close that. So if you're having trouble doing up the clip, then remember to have a look at this and go, oh, right, this has got to be in the up position, and then you can close it. Latch it, and we're ready to go. Then what we want to do is we want to put this guy, so this is where the indicator is kept, in, making sure that it's somewhat in line. This thing can pivot like on a 90-degree. The more you pivot it, the less accurate it is. So you want to keep it fairly straight. We're going to close the jaws on the chuck. And then we're just going to make it relatively straight so we can see it easy. Unfortunately, with the CNC, the doors make it very awkward to do this. On the mill, you're able to do it quite quickly, but we'll have to do it slowly. Close the doors, hit the button. We hear the click of the machine. So now what we want to do is we want to come over here to the display panel. We're going to hit reset. We're going to hit clear. And you'll have to do that every time you open the door. Reset, clear. Now what we want to do is we want to take X and Y and we want to, well, try not to do that, folks. Try not to go the wrong way. There we go. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to move the table to the vise. If you hold the shift key down and using the arrow keys, you can move the table faster. Page down moves the indicator or the head down faster. And we want to make sure that we're just about ready to touch. And then if you have an assistant, Eric's going to give me a hand. He's going to tell me when I just touch the back. Watch the dial on the front. Eric, no, Eric, stay right there. On the front, just tell me when I touch. Okay, so now we're going to go down. How much did it move, Eric? All the way around, and it's not touching anymore, or it is. So what we want to do is we want to open this and then bang it back. and then we're back touching the 0. And you do this 3 or 4 times until that indicator doesn't move. Reset, clear. Ready, Eric?
Yep.
Did it move?
No, not really.
How about now? Is it on? Okay, let me know when it touches. Now, watch. What's it at? Is it 4, 3?
Yeah, 4.
Okay. What's it at now?
About 2 to 1.
2? Okay. So what we want to do now is we'll open it up and we want to bring this way. So we'll hit this way. No, you said it was at 3, 4? So was it right about there? No, wrong way. About there? Okay. Now that we're close, what we want to do is we want to tighten this up. And if you watch the indicator, it sometimes moves when we do this. And tighten both sides. And then what we'll do is we'll close the door again and we'll watch. For most applications, a thou is good enough over. How's it look, Eric? What did it move?
No, it's around 13.
And then back this way.
Yeah, still around.
13? Okay, so there you go. Now we've indicated it adequately. Now we're ready to do the next step, which is pick up the edges and zero out our machine.